forces of good and evil. That's not it. What do you want? How does anyone expect me to write my opus with all of these rude interruptions? What do I mean, indeed? If I hadn't lost all of the pages, I wouldn't be in this predicament, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. Very well. I suppose a moment or two of my time couldn't hurt. I am Jiub. Some call me Saint Jiub. Others call me Jiub the Eradicator. Perhaps you've heard of me. I can't say that I'm surprised by your answer. Until I get my second volume published, no one will ever know of my achievements. A book? I'd hardly call a 26-volume epic simply a book. Surely you've heard of the rise and fall of Saint Jiub the Eradicator, hero of Morrowind and savior of the Alma. Maybe you should leave the writing to an expert. Stop making foolish suggestions. Terrible. Simply terrible. I was in the midst of writing the second volume, and they just threw me into this prison. It's unfair. That damned Remora and his minions. They didn't even give me a chance to explain who I was. Well, I assume so. It cast a spell at me from some kind of strange black crystal. Next thing I knew, I arrived here. My what? Wait. That means... No. All these wasted months. Has it been years? I don't even remember how much time has passed. No, my work will never see the light of day. My name will be forgotten. Perhaps. Do you have a way out of here? Maybe I can't, but my writings can. In order to write the second volume of my opus, I need the notes from my first volume. Otherwise, I need to do all of this from memory. When I was tossed in here, I felt myself falling, and I dropped the pages I had been holding. There were 10 of them. Find them for me, please. I beg you. Well, that's a ridiculous question. Everyone traveling through here has said that the Oblivion Gates have been opening all over Tamriel. Has it been that long? Well, it started with the followers of Mehrunes Dagon having Emperor Uriel Septim VII assassinated. Without a septim on the throne of the Empire, Dagon was able to leave Oblivion through the gates and attack. All I heard is that without a septim sitting on the throne of the Empire, the dragon fires in a place called the Temple of the One were no longer lit. This meant that we were vulnerable to the forces of Oblivion. Well, I don't know. Everything seemed fine until that Remora attacked me. I only heard later about the gates from the other souls. I can only assume the gates have been closed by now. Ah, yes. Say Jiub the Eradicator, Jiub the Magnificent. I've earned a lot of those titles thanks to my campaign against the Winged Menace. Yes, I'm speaking of the Cliff Racer, of course. Wretched things. They used to crisscross the skies over Morrowind like vermin. Nasty flying creatures. creatures with a habit of sneaking upon the unwary. After I was freed from prison, I decided to turn my life around. Give something back to the people of Morrowind. It became quickly apparent that the best way I could help would be by wiping out the cliff racers. Indeed I was. I hunted down and killed every last one of them. Took years. The people of Morrowind were so grateful that the road safer again, they took to calling me Saint Jiub, and then the other names followed. I had just moved from my ancestral home in Morrowind to the continent of Cyrodiil. I settled in the city of Kvatch to write my memoirs and to find some peace and quiet. Indeed, one moment I was writing diligently, and the next, my door bursts open. It was a cadre of Dremora. The city was under attack. I took it upon myself to join the cause and fight the Dremora, thinking this would simply be another feather in my cap. The reason I'm standing in front of you as only a whisper of my former self should tell you that. I never knew what became of Kvatch. I wonder if they were triumphant without me. That was a dark time in my life. I did a lot of things I ended up regretting. Maybe that's why I worked so hard to redeem myself once I was freed. I murdered others for money. And before you think I belong to some romantic or secretive guild, think again. I was simply an addict who needed money for skooma. The stuff wasn't cheap, and murder always seemed to be in demand. I finally bit off more than I could chew. I was paid to assassinate some high-ranking official from House Redorin. What I didn't know is someone had hired the Morag Tong to kill him as well. Exactly. He got to my target first and called the guard to cover his tracks. By the time I got there, the place was on alert. Walked right into a trap and didn't even realize it until I was captured. They tried me for murder, threw me on a prison ship, and sent me to the jail in Kvatch City. Gave me a lot of time to think, that's for sure. Now, where was I?
My advice? Never welch on a bargain with the ideal masters. those who have suffered wrong can find the light within the shadows. You saved him! His soul is free, I can feel it! He's such a loyal beast. Here, I'll teach him how to poem to you. He'll help you get around this wretched place. But I'm sure he'd be much happier someplace safer. Goodbye, hero. Take good care of Arvak for me. Such a good horse.
heard stories about the Soul Cairn, but never thought I'd see it myself. So far, it's...
You did it. You have all of my pages. Finally. I never thought I'd see these again. These pages meant the world to me. Thank you. Now, Volume 2 begins. What else? Oh, wait a moment. Here, I want you to have these before you go. A pristine copy of my first volume. Only one in print, actually. And take this as well. Seeing as St. Jiub has ascended to pure spiritual form, I won't need it any longer.
Sky? What kind of place is this?
Serana?
Is it really you? I can't believe it!
Serana, what are you doing here? Where's your father?
He doesn't know we're here. I don't have time to explain.
I must have failed. Harkon's found a way to decipher the prophecy, hasn't he?
No, you've got it all wrong. We're here to stop him. To make everything right.
Wait a moment. You've brought a stranger here? Have you lost your mind?
No, you don't...
You, come forward. I would speak with you.
So how has it come to pass that a vampire hunter is in the company of my daughter? It pains me to think you'd travel with Serana under the guise of her protector in an effort to hunt me down. Coming from one who murders vampires as a trade, I find it hard to believe your intentions are noble. Serana has sacrificed everything to prevent Harkon from completing the prophecy. I would have expected her to explain that to you. You think I'd have the audacity to place my own daughter in that tomb for the protection of her Elder Scroll alone? The scrolls are merely a means to an end. The key to the tyranny of the sun is Serana herself. When I fled Castle Volkihar, I fled with 2 Elder Scrolls. The scroll I presume you found with Serana speaks of Auriel and his arcane weapon, Auriel's bow. The second scroll declares that the blood of Cold Harbor's daughter will blind the eye of the dragon. Like myself, Serana was a human once. We were devout followers of Lord Molig Bal. Tradition dictates the females be offered to Molig Bal on his summoning day. Few survive the ordeal. Those that do emerge as a pure-blooded vampire. We call such confluences the Daughters of Cold Harbor. It's what some call the domain of Molig Bal, his place in oblivion. It was expected of her, just as it was expected of me. Being selected as an offering to Molig Bal is an honor. She wouldn't have dared turn her back on that. Now you're beginning to see why I wanted to protect Serana, and why I've kept the other Elder Scroll as far from her as possible. If Harkon obtained Auriel's bow, and Serana's blood was used to taint the weapon, the tyranny of the sun would be complete. In his eyes, she'd be dying for the good of all vampires. And how exactly do you plan on stopping him? Have you been listening to me? Like Serana, I'm a pure-blooded vampire. My presence on Tamriel is as much of a danger as hers. You care nothing for Serana, or our plight. Whether or not you've become one of us in order to survive the Soul Cairn, you're still a vampire hunter at heart. You're here because we're abominations in your mind. Evil creatures that need to be destroyed. Serana? This stranger aligns himself with those that would hunt you down and slay you like an animal. Yet I should entrust you to him.
This stranger has done more for me in the brief time I've known him than you've done in centuries.
How dare you? I gave up everything I cared about to protect you from that fanatic you call a father.
Yes, he's a fanatic. He's changed. But he's still my father. Why can't you understand how that makes me feel?
Serana, if you'd only open your eyes. The moment your father discovers your role in the prophecy, that he needs your blood, you'll be in terrible danger.
So to protect me, you decided to shut me away from everything I cared about. You never asked me if hiding me in that tomb was the best course of action. You just expected me to follow you blindly. Both of you were obsessed with your own paths. Your motivations might have been different, but in the end, I'm still just a pawn to you two. I want us to be a family again. But I don't know if we can ever have that. Maybe we don't deserve that kind of happiness. Maybe it isn't for us. But we have to stop him. before he goes too far. And to do that, we need the Elder Scroll.
I'm sorry, Serana. I didn't know. I didn't see. I've allowed my hatred of your father to estrange us for too long. Forgive me. If you want the Elder Scroll, it's yours. Your intentions are still somewhat unclear to me. But for Serana's sake, I'll assist you in any way that I can. Yes. I've kept it safely secured here ever since I was imprisoned. Fortunately, you seem to have already killed the keepers maintaining the barrier around these ruins. Yes. Please, follow me. One more word of warning. There's a dragon that calls itself Durnevere roaming the cairn. The Ideal Masters have charged him with overseeing the keepers, and will undoubtedly investigate the fact that the barrier has fallen.
I can't believe we found my mother alive. Well, you know what I mean. I can't believe we found my mother alive. Well, you know what I mean. Relieved, I think. All those things had been building for a while. You have no idea how long I wanted to say that to her. Look, I loved my father, but when he found that prophecy, that became his life. Everything else, even me and my mother, we just became clutter. I was close with my mother, but she just kept feeding me her opinions of him, and eventually I started believing them. The moment we gave ourselves to Molik Bal, things got really icy between them. They were both drunk with power, and pulling in different directions. And then he found that prophecy, and that was it. I was. Honestly, it took me up until now to figure out that my mother was really just as bad as he was. He was obsessed with power. She was obsessed with seeing him fail. It was just so toxic. Maybe I could have seen this coming. We could all be better off now. I know that in my head, but I just can't help feeling bad about the way things are. Sorry, I know you're trying to help. Thanks. Anyway, we should keep moving. I can't believe we found my mother alive. You know. Wait. I hear something. Where'd you come from?
Where'd you come from? Witness the death of that man. Forgive my astonishment, but I never thought I'd witness the death of that dragon. Volumes written on Durnevere allege that he can't be slain by normal means. It appears they were mistaken. Unless the soul of a dragon is as resilient as its owner's scaly hide. It's possible that your killing blow has merely displaced Durnevere's physical form while he reconstitutes himself. Minutes, hours, years, I can't even begin with this. I suggest we don't wait around for a minute. Now, let's get you the Elder Scroll and you can be on your way.
He's leading us to the scroll.
What did you
That's
want?
it. That's the last scroll. Come on, let's take it to Dexter.
Now that you've retrieved the Elder Scroll, you should be on your way. I have no choice. As I told you before, I'm a daughter of Cold Harbor. If I return to Tamriel, that increases Harkon's likelihood of bringing the tyranny of the sun to fruition. I appreciate your concern for me, but Serana is all that I care about. You must keep her safe at all costs. Remember that Harkon is not to be trusted. No matter what he promises, he'll deceive you in order to get what he wants. And promise me you'll keep my daughter safe. She's the only thing of value I have left.
The sooner we get this scroll home, the sooner we deal with my father. I'm glad we found the scroll. I wish you could come with us.
Did you have anything to ask before you depart? Harkon's vision is a world plunged in eternal darkness, where the vampire can flourish, and never again fear the tyranny of the sun. What he fails to realize is how much attention would be called to our kind if the prophecy came to fruition. If eternal night fell, there are many who wouldn't stand for it. They would raise armies in attempts to return things to normal. The order of the day would be our destruction, until every last vampire was hunted down and eliminated. I do. It's how the vampire has survived for millennia, and the only way we can continue to survive in the future. Even if I could, it would only serve to hinder your efforts. Harkon would likely sense my return to Tamriel. The last thing you need right now is a trail for him to follow. Like Serana, I am a daughter of Cold Harbor, a vampire offspring of Molig Ball. My presence in Tamriel would simply double the risk that Harkon could complete the prophecy. The only way I'd even consider returning to Tamriel was if Harkon were not only to fail, but to be destroyed. You must understand, he's no longer the man I married all that time. He's obsessed, insane. Everyone around him fears him as they would a rabid dog. For all of this to end, he must die. When I entered the Soul Cave, I had intended to strike a bargain with the Ideal Masters, the custodians of this place. I requested refuge in the Soul Camp, and in exchange, I would provide the Ideal Masters the souls that they craved. If I had foreseen the value they placed on my own soul, I would never have come here. The Ideal Masters unleashed their keepers and sent them to destroy me. Fortunately, I was able to hold them at bay and retreat into these ruins. Unfortunately, yes. Since the keepers weren't able to claim my soul, they had their minions construct a barrier that I'd never be able to reach. Time has very little meaning to me. Consequently, it has little meaning to the Ideal Masters as well. I suppose you could call this the ultimate waiting game, each watching the other to see which will give in. I know very little about them. They're mystic entities that lord over the Soul Camp, controlling every aspect from its fabric to its appearance. Well, some necromancers believe they are the crystalline structures guarding the Soul Camp. I believe there's more to it than that. I think they transcend what we perceive as a physical form. Perhaps they were once corporeal beings, but they've obviously reached a point where they no longer require a tangible presence. Conduits, through which the ideal masters speak to their underlings and feed on their victims. The ideal master's weakness is their insatiable hunger for pure souls. It's the reason for the Soul Cairn's existence, and the only leverage a necromancer has when bargaining. The ability to summon powerful undead guardians, as one would conjure an atrapada. However, the majority of necromancers that are foolish enough to enter into a bargain with the ideal masters wind up here, as harvested souls. As you've been traveling in the Soul Cairn, your body has become attuned to it. Let's just say a tiny part of you rubbed off on it, and in its place, a bit of the Soul Cairn filled the void. You should find no difficulty using the portal any longer. Farewell. Remember that Harkon's not to be trusted.
I wish you could come with us. I'm glad we found the scroll. I wish you could come with us.
Stay your weapons. I would speak with you, Quinarin. Cursed, not dead. Doomed to exist in this form for eternity. Trapped between Laas and Enoch. Between life and death. I believe in civility among seasoned warriors. And I find your ear worthy of my words. My claws have rendered the flesh of innumerable foes, but I have never once been felled on the field of battle. I therefore honor name you Quinarin, or Vanquisher in your tongue. Your words do me great honor. My desire to speak with you was born from the result of our battle, Quinarin. I merely wish to respectfully ask a favor of you. For countless years I've roamed the Soul Cairn in unintended service to the ideal masters. Before this, I roamed the skies above Tamriel. I desire to return there. I fear that my time here has taken its toll upon me. I share a bond with this dreaded place. If I ventured far from the Soul Cairn, my strength would begin to wane until I was no more. I will place my name with you, and grant you the right to call my name from Tamriel. Do me this simple honor, and I will fight at your side as your Graze Mazen, your ally, and teach you my Thum. Trivial in your mind, perhaps. For me, it would mean a great deal. I don't require an answer, Quinarin. Simply speak my name to the heavens when you feel the time is right. In my language, the Quanaran is the vanquisher, the one who has bested a fellow Dova in battle. Even in the Soul Cairn, the defeat of the World Eater has reached my ears, Dovahkiin. You may not be Dova, but the defeat of Alduin earns you the right of title. There was a time when I called Tamriel my home, but those days have long since passed. The Dova roamed the skies, vying for their small slices of territory that resulted in immense and ultimately fatal battles. I was, but unlike some of my brethren, I sought solutions outside the norm in order to maintain my superiority. I began to explore what the Dova call Elok Dylan, the ancient forbidden art that you call necromancy. The Ideal Masters assured me that my powers would be unmatched, that I could raise legions of the undead. In return, I was to serve them as a keeper until the death of the one who calls herself Valerica. I discovered too late that the Ideal Masters favor deception over honor, and had no intention of releasing me from my binding. They had control of my mind, but fortunately they couldn't possess my soul. Free? No. I have been here too long, Quanaran. The Soul Cairn has become a part of what I am. I can never fully call Tamriel my home again, or I would surely perish. I only hope that you will allow me the precious moments of time there, through your call.
Do you need something? I can't say it surprises me. I kind of figured we were heading for this someday. I just didn't know when. If. I've been assuming that's where all this is going. I've been trying to make my peace with it. Come on, we can talk about this another time. All right then. Let's get indoors, or in a cave, anywhere, just out of this.
The free air of Bruce at long last. source of your enemy's life force. I can feel my strength returning each time I am set free from that prison. Hear now the second word of soul tearing. Vase. Meaning to tear your enemy's soul from its living vessel.
I trust your journey was successful? I'm sorry, my friend. I can no longer be of use in this matter. It's my fault. In my haste to read the first scroll, I neglected the careful preparation required. I thought I'd be able to allay the after effects, but I was wrong. Now I am paying for it. Blind? Yes, I'm afraid so. No, it will have to run its course, and there's always the chance I may never recover. No, there is another way. The question is, how much are you willing to risk to find Oriel's bow? I can't guarantee you'd be free from harm. Becoming blind could be the least of your worries. Scattered across Tamriel are secluded locations known only as Ancestor Glades. There's one in Skyrim in the Pine Forest. Performing the ritual of the Ancestor Moth within the glade should provide the answers you seek. It involves carefully removing the bark from a canticle tree, which will in turn attract Ancestor Moths to you. Once enough of the moths are following, they'll provide you with the second sight needed to decipher the scrolls. In keeping with tradition, you must use a specific tool in the Ancestor Glade, an implement known as a draw knife. Every moth priest is taught this ritual, but few ever get the chance to perform it. You should consider yourself fortunate if it works for you. From what I saw in the vision, the Elder Scroll which foreshadows the defiance of the gods with the blood of mortals is the key to the prophecy. Sadly, yes. It is the inevitable fate we agree to pursue when reading the Elder Scrolls. It generally does not occur until a moth priest is in his latter years, but in my case, I simply was not preparing myself properly. Deciphering one of the Elder Scrolls is nothing like reading a simple book. There is quite a bit of ritual and concentration required. It can take months or even years to complete a single scroll, and even then, months to recover. Well, as I'm sure you figured out by now, it's no mere coincidence that we're named Moth Priests. The voice of the Ancestor Moth has always been an integral part of reading the Elder Scrolls. Oh, the moths don't literally read the scrolls, but they maintain a connection to ancient magic that allows the moth priests to decipher them. If you listen closely when you find the glade, you should be able to hear their song, a soft, harmonious trilling. It's through this ancestral chorus that the moths tap into a form of primal augur and become a conduit for deciphering the scrolls. By having the ancestor moths close to the moth priest, they can utilize the conduit and share the moth's augury. Only the most resilient of priests can do it this way. It takes years of practice to interpret the harmony. You've come this far, and you've found several Elder Scrolls. Whether you believe it or not, the scrolls have a mind of their own. If they did not want you to find them, they would not allow it. Because of this, I strongly believe you were meant to hear the ancestral chorus. Only one way to find out. Good luck. I hope you find the answers you seek.
I hope we reach Ancestor Glade soon. Yes? Don't worry, we'll find the glade.
How dare you set foot in here after being infected? Get out of here, monster.